Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everyone? How's it going? Mattism, Art Nerd. What's up, Moogard? Who else we got here today? What's up, Cindy? It is Feedback Fridays, so I see some of you already typed an exclamation mark join. Thanks for giving people that little text reminder, Art Nerd, on how this works. But it's pretty much all regulars here most of the time anyways, so most of y'all know how it goes. How it be. What if we did I was just playing around with trying to make chromatically a major instead of minor. Like a Okay. Anyways, let's whole tones. That sounds pretty terrible. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, Feedback Fridays. I'll be listening to your guys' tunes today. Let's start things off. Okay. We have 5 entries. We'll see who's gonna win first. You guys want to do Gamba today, or are we doing just are we just gonna listen to submissions straight? Is this your first time doing it? I've done some Feedback Fridays before. Are you doing better now? I am. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I feel like yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was sick, and then I also was dealing with a little bit of anxiety for some reason. I don't know where it was coming from, honestly. But I'm feeling much better today. I appreciate you asking. Is your laptop speaker on? No. Why? Can you hear some kind of background noise or something? It should be. I think it should be pretty normal right now. All right, let's do a gamba then. Art Nerd, are you? Would you be okay with helping set up a gamba, like we've done in the past? We don't hear any noise at the moment. Perfect. That makes me happy. I like it when my chords move chromatically. Okay, let's do a gamba. Okay, I'll read out the names on here. It's the Ready, Noxel Music, Perillion, Moogard, Mattism, Mr. Wernberg, and I Have No Weak Sleep. Get this a little bit lower. Okay. Did you get all the names, Art Nerd? Okay, here we go. Prediction has started. I just had to think back to a few weeks ago when all right, let's see, I'll predict someone real quick. I will predict I'm gonna predict on Moogard. All right. So, you guys remember a few weeks back when I was like, okay, wait, how do we find out who the winner is? And I just was spacing out the fact that I need to just trigger the trigger choosing a winner. All right. If you want a Gamba, there's a couple seconds left. Okay. Let's see who it is. Moogard, listen. He doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. What can I say? If you either bet with me or you lose. That's the lesson to be learned here. Okay, let's just see what you got, Moogard. I hope somebody won some points from that, though. Yuko hates me into sharing this one. Nice. Let's see what you got. Let us see. Love the phaser reverb on the roads. Really interesting chords. Cool. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. It's I like it when I just like it when producers take risks and don't do traditional arrangements and just exploring different sound design and sounds in general. But I like it. It's really cool. I feel like it kind of is very unpredictable up until about like this point, and then it kind of goes into this groove that stays a bit more consistent. It's from 2017, huh? It's an oldie. But yeah, there's some cool stuff going on. I feel like if you wanted to, you could totally revisit this and kind of flesh it out a bit more. I wonder I'm thinking about the arrangement a tiny bit. I wonder if maybe you treated this section as kind of like the intro. Whoa. And then you built into some of this crazier stuff from there. Like, where do the chords come in? Those chords are cool. I almost wanted to hear them repeat, but I mean, you're obviously just kind of doing your thing here. So yeah. Anyways, I mean, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit more cohesion to the arrangement. But I could totally understand if you were just exploring some different sounds and just having fun with it. So I like it. I think it's cool to have tracks that are just a little hard to predict. You know, got to keep them on their toes. Never let them know your next snare, your next bit of sound design. But it's good. It's obviously a bit rough around the edges. I think like that's probably the biggest thing that's working against you here is just that it's a bit rough from like not just a mixing standpoint, but it's also a bit sparse at times. So it does feel a bit more like a sketch than a finished experimental kind of piece. So that would be what you would need to focus on, I think, if you wanted to see it to the finish line. But either way, thank you for sharing. It's really cool. I like that little talk box thing too that's in there. That's cool. I'm not sure about that stabby chord section. Well, the chords there are really cool. Talkbox is vocoderless. Oh, okay. No vocoder action in there. Nice. Word. All right, what do you guys think? Should we do another gamba? I don't really have too much else to share, Moogard. I like the idea. I just think it needs a little more fleshing out. You know, a little more tender love and care, more attention to detail, more sound of just like effects and environmental flourishes, and maybe just a tiny bit more cohesion in the arrangement. But that's totally your call. Either way, I liked it. Excuse me. Haywyre, I really love your drum and bass signature. I don't know what that means. I've barely made any drum and bass ever in my life. So maybe you're thinking of the wrong artist. but thank you. Gambling has become legal. Scary. Listen, I hate gambling culture. Like when when it comes to actual money, I disapprove. But anyways, this is obviously very different. But okay, let's do another gamba. Let's do gamba. Gaba 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 gaba. Artner, do you want me to read out the names for the next roll here? You ready? Okay, awesome. I think we have 10. We got 9 people now. Okay, we have Ariksu, we have Housley, Anganom, Aredi, Noxel, Perillion, Mattism, Wernberg, and I have no weak sleep. Let me know if that worked. I can reread the names if you need me to. All right. Looks like we have another gamba. Little piano interlude in between. Indeed. All right. Who are we predicting? Well, I'm going to wait until the last minute to vote because I don't want to sway anyone's opinion. Oh, it's Anganam Horn. Who should I vote for? Huh. I'm gonna do a last minute decision here. Let's do Ariksu. Boom. Wait a minute. Wait, I actually haven't been even technically voting, I guess. But that's okay. I'm voting in spirit. Thank you for voting for me. Now you will lose. We'll see. My track record is 100% right now. You guys ready? Oh, wait. What the hell? I told y'all I literally I'm incapable of losing. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing I waited until the last second to vote. All right. What do we got here? That is a crazy account name. I don't know how to pronounce that. Zudo Arbor. By Ariksu. I'm just gonna assume it's the same person. Very peaceful. No. Interesting. I like it. It's very different. It's got a very for the most of the piece. It has a very kind of like tranquil, peaceful OST kind of vibe and orchestral. It's interesting. Like I feel like this section here definitely feels very, very different than the rest of the song. Not necessarily in a bad way. It almost feels like this is the like the score to some scene or some story that we don't have access to, like some it feels like it's telling a story and we don't really know what exactly. It feels like it's very well, yeah, anyways. I think it's a cool idea. I think that it's definitely caught off guard by this section here. I think that if you're going to, obviously that's intentional, and like there's the contrast is clearly like a very intentional thing. I would say if you're gonna go this kind of like really experimental, it reminds me a little bit of Alan Moore. I think if you are going to go this route, I would lean into it even more. Like there's a ton of possibilities for Foley work here. And actually Alan Moore would be maybe a really good reference for that kind of stuff. Cause I feel like that's one of his, favorite things to do in music production is just like how many layers of Foley can I put into this weird song? And I would just encourage you to maybe lean into this more. It feels a little bit like it catches you off guard, and then it's kind of like this weird experimental vibe that's going on with this like I don't know how it reminds me a little bit of the sound like a comb makes when you when you pull you grab a comb and like you hit all the individual like comb strands, and it makes that kind of sound. Okay, maybe not quite, but anyways, I just think like some like just things like leading into those snare sounds, like branches breaking and wind and other stuff. Like it's obviously it feels like you're not going for a traditional song structure, so like lean more into the environmental or not environmental storytelling, just like, well, yeah, I guess you could say that, like maybe there's maybe there are other things contributing to the storytelling aspect, like maybe there's some voices like having some kind of conversation, or there's like footsteps, or just like the little things that kind of bring visuals into like the into the forefront of the piece. But yeah, I think outside of that, I totally understand that this is probably an intentional thing, how different this is, but I still think the transitions, maybe out of, I think the transition out of this definitely felt, this one felt fine. You could definitely do some interesting stuff here if you wanted to. It's okay as is, but I think after this, to go from that into this this feels a little bit more like an accident to me. So I would say find some way to kind of bridge this gap and not just have like complete silence. We gotta follow up. I think that there's probably more creative ways to kind of like go from something that's very dark and not melodic to something very melodic and upbeat. And I think that that's kind of for you to decide. And I like the little piano outro as well. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing, man. This is really cool. Very interesting piece of music. Also, Tarek, thank you for the follow. Let's roll on to the next person. We'll skip the Gamba for now, so I can keep things going. The Gambas do take a little bit, so let's move on to the next submission. What's up, Perillian? All right, what do we got here? This is Perillian and Timoyo Zenith.
Time in the sky, flying north like the Nile. I have to see to believe. I can't just be stuck in the now. When the night is done, see that rising sun. I approach my zenith. I can't wait to feel it. Let it rise.
Lots of cool stuff going on.
Just can't face this truth. Rather live in my dreams with no clue. How far down are you? Ain't it better to dream of the view of 1,000 stars shining, with the sound of highs, no hurting. Live a life smiling. You know you don't need no others to keep you falling for the run. When the night is done and we don't look down, I approach my zenith. I can't wait to feel it. Anticipation of what lays beyond, on top of the sky above. See the rising sun. I can feel the zenith. I will hold on to it. Let it rise.
Okay. Very cool. I like it a lot. I think that you got a lot of good stuff going on here. I'm trying to stay on like a high level feedback first. And there's some standout moments in this track that are really great and really exceptional. And I think there are times where I wish that the arrangement focused on kind of building itself around those specific parts a little more. And I also have a bad habit of pointing out loops and presets if I hear them, and it's really not something in the grand scheme of things I want to focus on, because we all I mean, especially when you have so many different hats to wear, there's obviously I have zero issues with that. But so let me focus on the important things. I think your arrangement could potentially have been a little bit better. I'm just realizing now that I think this is already live, so this is a live release. In my opinion, I love that you took. I love that you took some risks in terms of where to take the listener. And hold on, let me start the song again, because I was caught off guard by there were a few changes happening right off the bat. So you introduce the song with these kind of pads that are A-Bing. So that's the E minor.
Yeah. It's so bright up here, I won't be down for a while. Spend my
It's an interesting choice to start the song like that. So you're starting on the E minor, and then when the vocals come in, you're going to the B major. So it's a little bit of a trick, right, to play on the listener. It's like, oh, you thought we were in E minor. Oh. Well, lo and behold. I do think that if you're going to have this kind of intro, I don't know how I feel about, let's say, like, these elements that that you chose to add here, like this bass line, dong dong dong. It feels something like that. I'm trying to find the right words. It feels like if you're introducing a bass line like that, it feels like the way that I feel about it is that, like, that's a pretty major element in a song to throw in there. It's obviously quite upfront. It's quite loud. And especially if you hear that on, let's say, like a big system or something, I mean, that is going to be a major, that's going to have a major impact on the listener's experience. So it's like, if you're making that big of a statement with the sound, you kind of want that to momentum to carry you somewhere. And it feels like the bass line just kind of like does these really loud stabs, and then it disappears when the vocals come in. So I feel a little bit conflicted about the choices in terms of the arrangement at the beginning. I think it could have been maybe a little bit cooler to just have like this atmospheric pad intro that's in the E minor. And then once all that craziness is out of the way, then you introduce the groove with the vocals coming in for the first time, signaling like this is where the song really feels like it's beginning. Because I think it feels like you're saying the song is starting when it's still in the E minor area, when the vocals, I think, are really kind of the thing to build the song more around. So anyways. So I do want to say this. I'm not like super crazy about let's say like some of the choice of words or stuff, but your friend Tim has got a great voice, and I think you guys make a great team. And the chorus is really great.
My time in the sky, flying north like the
Is this okay? Yeah, I wasn't sure if this is like an established artist or not, but
I have to see to believe.
it is a bit dry. I was definitely noticing that. Like, it would be nice to have some gentle reverb on here, a little bit of delay, just something to spice it up a little bit. It's a very lush atmosphere with those pads. Feels very warm with the offbeat claps and stuff. I think there's room for a few effects on his voice.
Can't just be stuck in the now. When the night is done, see that rising sun. I approach my zenith. I can't wait to feel it. Let it rise.
It's great. I love that entire chorus section. The production, the pads, the vocals, the different vocal layers. It sounds really good. And then there's obviously this section here. And it's a big risk to take, going from this very euphoric, melodic feeling, switching it up and being like, we're going down this like more four to the floor, like dark, like industrial bass oriented vibe. But I think it's a cool idea to take that risk. But I honestly feel that I just feel like the star of the song is when you guys are joining forces, like his vocals with your chords and your sound selection. It sounds really good. So to me, it feels a little bit. I just wish that the let's say what followed the chorus was a section that continued with that energy. I'm not saying like just repeating the exact same chords and pads and vocals with, some big drums or something like that. But I just think that this section works much better as like maybe like a post drop switch up, I think it could have been better to have just some kind of like four to the floor, big, euphoric thing here, maybe with, some of his vocals processed on top, like vocal chops or something like that. Something that kind of like taps into this energy.
See that rising sun.
I just would have loved to hear that energy, but with some four to the floor drums. That would have been great. And then have this as the switch up, instead of kind of arranging it in a way where it's such a focal point. But that being said, you do something like that over here. Those are really cool chords. And then it goes. Wait. And then it's interesting because like for this second quote unquote drop, whatever you want to call it, you kind of did what I was just talking about, where like you had this more euphoric section here. More melodic, and then you use that drop as a switch up here, which I like a lot more personally. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a really cool tune, and I like a lot about what's going on in terms of the writing. Lots of fun chords, lots of interesting, unexpected turns. I do think the arrangement and the way you're the things you're drawing attention to, I feel like just took away a little bit from what I think is the best part of the song, which is, your production combined with and like those chords combined with Tim's vocals. I think that was by far my favorite part. So, anyways, do with that what you will. That's just my take. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. I was really, really excited about some of the sections in here. And I'm kind of a sucker for I don't know exactly what kind of vocal style. It feels a little bit R&B like almost his singing, like pop R&B ish. I love that kind of stuff. So I definitely I felt myself ascending during those moments, and yeah, thanks so much for sharing. I used collabs with Kill Paris. Oh, nice, hell yeah. The only change I had was just removing the 50 seconds of rap vocals in the first drop. Oh, I see. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the next person. Thanks again for sharing, Perillian. That's dope. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's roll on. What's up, Froidey? What you got for us? Dude, this is such a tiny profile picture, but I can just tell you're making a goofy face here. What's going on here? I can also see you have a Genelec in the background. My eyesight is pretty decent, I feel like, if I can spot a Genelec that small. Man, I was thinking about buying a pair of Genelecs. I've only ever had my Adams, and I think a second pair could kind of go a long way. Oh, I'm sorry, Mattism. Hopefully we'll get to you next. A little bit quiet. So, okay, anyways, I was just thinking about the melody there for a second. You have a really cool kind of foundation for your track. So obviously this is very much a work in progress, but I like the core idea quite a lot, at least in terms of the sound design, the melody, the chord progression, and that's a good thing to build off of. I think from here you have a lot of different directions that you can take. You definitely need more variation, that's for sure. You can't just rely on that one melody and chord progression for the entire piece. Or if you're going to, then at least create more variation in terms of like the sound design, like what elements are playing that, and you know, a little bit more juice from that end could be nice. But and then, you know, you could, in terms of like production, I could hear drums that feel a bit more like classic melodic dubstep kind of thing. Like I could see that working. I could also see something more experimental because of the stuttering in the core kind of like melodic articulation. I could see something more experimental, like a Flume-esque type thing with like these unquantized drums that are and like lots of like Foley and things like that. I think that could be cool too. It's really your call, you know, which direction to take the production aspects of it. And like I said, the core idea is great, but it just needs to be developed more. You know, I think that it's also quite thin. It feels like you're missing a lot of or a good chunk of mids. You don't have to. Well, yeah. Anyways, it does feel a bit thin. I really think that it's going to be tough for me to give more feedback than that, just because it's so bare bones. I mean, the good thing is like you have a really great core piece of your song there. Like it feels to me that like this is obviously the idea. That's what you're building it around, and it sounds cool. I see the potential. I see the vision. I just think you need to spend more time on like developing it, because realistically, like I said, I could see it going so many different ways. I could, like I said, I could hear like that typical like super like punchy, fat, melodic dubstep groove happening. In addition to melodic bass, whatever. I could also see a more experimental route, and you know, it's just I can hear all these things, but right now it's kind of it feels like it's too early for me to say much more than that. But I like what you got. I like it a lot. So please keep working on it. Oh, that's VR? Oh my god. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Cool. Let's move on to the next person. Maybe it'll be Mattism. All right. Damn. What's up, Unlaser? How's it going? What you got for us today? All right. Let's see. Love me some Ray and Foley. I'm sitting on a park bench, looking at the ocean waves crashing on the shore.
Seasons always change around. I got lost, but now I'm found. You're the only one that grounds me. Sweetness, don't you let me down. Seasons always change around. I got lost, but now I'm found. You're the only one
See you later, Mathism.
Sweetness, don't you let me down. Seasons always change around. I got lost, but now I'm found. You're the only one that grounds me. Sweetness, don't you let me down.
Very cool. I like it a lot. I particularly like the well, first of all, just the general arrangement is nice. The vibe is great. It's very gentle, but it still has a little bit of a kind of like an uplifting kind of energy behind it. The production is nice. I like the choice, sound selection slash sound design for the drums. Quite quite nice. It's like gentle, but it's got like a nice little oomph to it still.
Seasons always change around. I got lost but now I'm found. You're the only one that grounds me.
I'm almost wondering, I'm trying to think about I'm thinking about a few things. I'm going to start diving into some details here. Because I think on a general level, everything is working quite well in this track. So, arrangement, and the production, composition, like things are working. It's working. I'm wondering about the kick and snare maybe being a tad, just a little bit, too loud here than they need to be.
Seasons always change around. I got lost but now I'm found.
Because I like this sound selection. I do feel that it's maybe just a hair too present in the mix. At least in this section. When it kind of progresses and fills out even more, I feel like that's less of a concern for me. Like here, they feel much more appropriate. I think a little bit earlier on, maybe just some gentle volume automation could do the trick. But sometimes, and it's something that I like to do when I have drums that I think work really well for, let's say, like a more climactic moment. You can just duplicate, that kick and snare potentially, and just make some gentle, like subtractive changes. Maybe like reducing like a certain frequency range a bit, just turning the whole thing down, or shortening it a little bit, or shortening probably not relevant here. But yeah, just some food for thought. Maybe they could be a tad bit more gentle in the beginning. The other thing I was thinking too is that when this section here comes around,
Seasons always change around.
so basically, the one other big thing I wanted to throw out there is that this entire second half feels too similar to the first half, and it works, but I think you totally have room to elaborate a bit on what's going on here. So I could hear, okay, this is going to be a really, really crude, quick thing here, but just bear with me here for a brief moment. I could hear like gentle little chord stabs potentially in here. So this is going to be very kind of generic sounding. Just bear with me here real quick. Let's see, grab something like this. Okay. And let's go envelope. It's a pretty terrible sound, I'm not going to lie, but I just wanted to try to just give an example of maybe some...
Seasons always change around.
Okay, hold on. That's a bit quiet. Let me try to turn it up a little bit so you can hear it better. I was kind of imagining something that kind of like maybe hits with the kick.
Seasons always change around. I got lost but now I'm found. You're the only one that grounds me. Sweetness, don't you let me down. Seasons always
It's obviously not the greatest sound, but I think hopefully me just kind of riffing on a random quick little patch is giving you some ideas on like how to create some more variation. There's just room for more layers in here, like a little more melodic exploration. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Everything is sounding really good. I have some nice analog synths that could fit. Great. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Let's move on to the next one. What you got for us, Kirby? All right, we got a submission here from Kimbo Slice. Oh, we're going heavy route. Drum and bass, drum and bass, drum and bass. Very nice. Sick. Really cool tune. I like it. Drop is cool. I like the switch up you had from drum and bass to this kind of like the swung kind of halftime thing. I really like that rhythmic switch up. I haven't heard that kind of a switch up before, which I really liked. Very cool. I like that. So I think on a general level, I think everything is solid in terms of arrangement and sound design. Like things are, it's sounded fat and juicy, which is great. I think maybe the end is a tad abrupt. I think that really the biggest bit of feedback from a bird's eye kind of view is I do feel like the sound design should change up a bit more for the second drop. It feels a little bit too similar, even though rhythmically there's a difference. I know you're starting with the halftime kind of swung thing this time instead of drum and bass. I feel like you could... The reason I say that is because it doesn't take too much to get some more variation here and still stay true to kind of like the core idea. I mean, in my mind, all it would take is to just duplicate some of these patches and, you know, just adjust a few parameters a tiny bit, and then you have like some different articulations to play with that are slightly different and a little bit more new. And so I feel like that's the biggest thing to me, really. It's just that the second half could use a little bit of that. The other thing I was going to say too, this is kind of nitpicky, this snare here in this middle section, I'm not too crazy about. I can't tell. I mean, I think like maybe it has to do with just the sound itself, or maybe it's the reverb that I'm not too crazy about. But I don't know why. It's just kind of like I wasn't too crazy about that. But yeah, I mean that's all I got to say really. I think that you know, I think the style reminds me, not necessarily the execution, the style reminds me a little bit of Noisia, because they're the kind of people that like have these kind of very heavy, noisy bass sound design oriented drum and bass tracks. But then, well, not always. Obviously, their catalog is really varied, and then they do some really fun switch ups, like Machine Gun, one of the coolest like modulations in an electronic like music track ever. It was just like, I remember hearing that when I was I think it was in high school when that album Split the Atom came out, and I was like, man, this is so fucking cool. Okay, why am I beatboxing Noisia? Anyways, so the reason I brought that up though is because Noisia, well, they're OGs obviously. They have a giant catalog of great tunes, but I feel like one thing they are really good at is attention to detail. It's very it's so much fun to hear, I think, artists that take risks when it's done so executed so well. And so I don't know, I just thought I'd throw it out there, like maybe there's some Split the Atom stuff that could help serve as an inspiration for maybe a little bit of extra fine tuning, like a little bit more detail. I guess that's what I was trying to get at, really, is that there's maybe room for a little more, some little flourishes and little things. And I think that kind of stuff can be really fun because it kind of brings this extra level of polish and care that makes a track more unique, and also it's just exciting to hear. And obviously this kind of music is it's meant to be, of course, like dance floor friendly, but there's an element of fun involved in, like, you know, doing things that other producers will appreciate as well. I think that could be fun to kind of do, lean into that aspect. And yeah, because I mean, realistically, if it was all about just making people dance to some electronic music, there are much easier ways to do that. You could just make tropical house or some kind of house music, and it'll be much easier to produce than, you know, something like this, I would imagine. But anyways, that's all I got for you. So thank you for sharing. Really cool tune. And let's roll on to the next. How do I get my song reviewed? What's up, Brad Chill? So the way I do feedback is I have people enter a raffle by typing !join, and then people are completely randomly chosen. So I never, I don't give any weight to subscribers, to, you know, whatever, people that have donated. It's completely random, and that's to try to keep it a bit more fair, and to not, you know, try to encourage people to subscribe just to be more likely to get their tune heard or something like that. But yeah, anyways. Okay, so let's check this out. This is Mostly Water. Copyright sample warning. Okay, if I release it, it'll remove them. Well, hopefully I don't get a strike for this, but let's check it out. Okay. Cool. It's a nice idea. I was gonna make some joke about the silence here, but I'm too lazy to do that right now. So I actually really like what you have here so far. It feels kind of like this 2010 Kesha pop beat meets electro-ish kind of stuff. I was wondering why you gave me this heads up about some copyrighted music being sampled in here. I wasn't sure until the last minute or so. Interesting choice to throw that in there. But maybe it's just a placeholder, or maybe you were just having fun with throwing little references in there. But anyways, let's focus on the track overall. I think that like I said, I like it a lot. The arrangement is good. I do feel that just high level, it sounds good. It sounds pretty good. But it feels like it's lacking in polish. It feels like a great kind of foundation, like a good sketch for a whole song. Or maybe not sketch, that's kind of unfair. It feels well developed, but from a mixing standpoint, it's very undeveloped. So that's how I mean that. That's the sense in which I mean it feels a little bit like a sketch still. So there are a lot of different production choices that I think are impacting that aspect. So my feeling is that obviously electro, that genre as a whole, which I feel like it sounds like that's what you're leaning into. Not exclusively, but it does feel like it's kind of primarily in that space. Obviously, you want those really dry, hard cuts for different samples and things like popping in and out. And you have some elements that are lingering, and I feel like it's taking away from the impact. So you see, all those synth chords, for example, they have that release. There's sounds with reverb and stuff. So what you should do is, I don't know what DAW you're using. Well, probably Ableton, judging by this picture. So, you could just throw in a utility and manually mute everything when another sound pops in. There's probably better ways of doing that. I don't know how your project file is organized, so there's who knows what the best way is to do that. But I would for sure consider doing that for these sections where these more climactic kind of drop sections. The other thing is I'm not sure that I can hear any sidechaining happening. So everything is kind of blending together, which you don't want in most electronic music. So definitely get some sidechaining going. I don't know how I didn't mention that earlier, but that would kind of be number one on the to-do list. But then everything I was saying still applies here as well, in terms of knowing when to mute layers. I feel like most of the time you want it to feel like you're just I don't DJ, but the way I'd imagine it is you want it to feel like you have this this beat, the drum loop is going, and you're just you're muting and unmuting all these different layers one at a time, and you're at the mixer. You're kind of I think you need to kind of put that imagine that a little bit when you're producing and thinking about wait, does it really sound like this is all one cohesive thing that's being triggered and then being muted the second another sound pops in? So that's something to really focus on, I think, for you, and should help. And aside from that, those are obviously very general notes, but I would say maybe find some artists that, well, obviously you have Bangarang possibly as a reference track in your project file. So I would maybe go back and forth between a track like that and maybe like one other track, because it can help to have multiple reference points, especially since you're kind of like in a genre space that you can find plenty of great music in. So I would have at least, like maybe 2 reference tracks feels good. Bangarang, maybe like one other track, and then kind of see how you can take inspiration from how they're mixing songs. Hopefully influence some of your decision making. But yeah, overall, actually, I really enjoyed it. I don't know. Normally, I'm not really an electro guy, and I'm not really into. There's plenty of pop music I don't like, but there's some cool sound design. There's some cool moments going on. It does feel a little bit underproduced, so I think you'll definitely be catching more people's attention if you spend more time focusing on your mix down, making sure to mute a lot of these layers when they need to be muted instead of having them all linger and kind of flow into each other. Make sure to focus on that kind of like that idea of muting those sounds as others are popping in. And that's pretty much all I got for you. It's a great tune. I hope you finish it. I was kind of using Scary Monsters energy drink mostly. Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing, and let's move on to the next person. But Modcat, what's up? Thank you for the follow. What's up, Warrenberg? All right, what do we got here? Nice, that's fun. And then just like 20 seconds of reverb for outro. I love it. So it's a really cool tune. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. Highlights include obviously this little vocal thing here. Drop sounds cool. The switch up here I like a lot as well. So, in this drop, I know you have this this production choice to turn the cutoff down, in the second measure. I think this is maybe a small detail, but like I'm just gonna start giving you random feedback thoughts. But I think that's a little bit too early to be taming the sound in a drop, because you've been building up to this for about 50 seconds. You're obviously drawing a lot of attention to a climactic moment. I think you're justified in keeping that cutoff open for the first three measures, and then you can have that cutoff movement in the third. So, you can have that cutoff movement in the fourth measure. So, I would keep it at 100, like the cutoff filter, at 100% there, and then there you can have the filter movement on. Just a small thought, because I don't think you want to give up that momentum, and I think that when you're doing that kind of filter movement, you're kind of playing with reducing its presence, reducing its energy, but the drop has just started. So I think you want it to be upfront. I'm curious about the vocals. I don't know if they're like a placeholder or if you're working with a vocalist to get these, because if that's going to be part of the final track, then I would 100% recommend making those a bigger part of the song. They are a big part of the song, but I'm just trying to think about the arrangement a little bit, because it's like it is kind of interesting to have these like vocals not be heard until like 1 minute 30 seconds in. I'm just trying to think about whether there's ways to foreshadow or like incorporate more of the vocal is what I'm trying to get at. But either way, like this section is really cool, and the whole thing is interesting. I like it a lot. I feel like it's I don't know if you could consider this maybe this is electro kind of. I don't even know. Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I would probably call it electro because I can't think of anything better to call it. Yeah, I feel like maybe from a production standpoint, there's a few small other things. I'm not super crazy about that kick drum, and in this section, I'm really not too crazy about the snare. It just kind of gets lost in the mix, and I like the idea of having something short, but it needs to have a transient that you can kind of hear. Just because this is still a pretty high energy moment here. By the way, I respect the switching up a lot of the chord progressions and the songwriting aspect. I think a lot of electronic music you hear tends to be, and this is not flaming simple music by any means. There's a place for all kinds of music, but I think that there's so much electronic music out there that is intentionally repetitive and simple, and I just always appreciate it when producers just have fun with experimenting and kind of like trying to switch things up a bit, and also actually executing on it. It's fun. It's one thing to have a lot of ideas, but like it's not necessarily enjoyable for anyone if you have, a bajillion things going on and none of them are actually executed fairly well. So yeah, I just appreciated, I think, hearing the chord progressions, the switching up, and kind of keeping me on my toes a little bit more in terms of like, what's going to happen next. So yeah, thank you for sharing. This is just half of the track. Gotcha. Vocals are me singing. Oh, word. You got a good voice. Well, if it's you, then you should totally think about how, like, this is if I were you, try this out. Just like humor me. Render this song without vocals, and then grab some headphones, go for a walk, just put it on loop, and just riff, just kind of like think about, like, obviously the vocals you already have, the Hearts on Fire, and You're Untouchable. I think something like that is happening here. Maybe there are some other ways for you to incorporate it in the beginning. Yeah, just some food for thought. All right, let's move on. What's up, Noxel? What you got for us? If you guys don't mind giving me a brief second here, I'm gonna grab some more water. I need some water. So just give me a brief moment. I'll be right back. Maybe I can put on some chill tunes. I forget. Oh yeah, here we go. I think this is it. 9:10. Whoops. Okay. All right, be right back. All right. Wait. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. There was a bunch of silence at the end of the render. I didn't even notice that. Okay, let's get back into it. Yo, what's up? Just added Blue. Thanks for gifting out three subs. That's really kind of you. Grazie, grazie. Okay. Still waiting to buy backstage VIP passes for a Chicago headline show. Keep your eyes and ears open, my friend. 2026 might be the year to do that. Okay. Let's get back to feedback. All right, we got something here from Noxel. Here's a quick update on our collab Eidolon. Oh, nice, the Eidolon collab. You have any ideas? Sadly lacking low mids. All right, let's see what we got. You guys make a good team. Okay. Switch up here. Very cool. Lots of cool stuff going on here. So I think I don't know exactly what has and hasn't changed since the last version, so I'll just give you my thoughts on this one as like a standalone piece. But the arrangement is really cool. I like it a lot. It's definitely like it's got a lot of switch ups and a lot of interesting kind of just additional little sections that you probably weren't expecting to hear, and I think that's really cool. So props to both of you guys. I feel like you guys made a good tune. I'm trying to think about overall what are some of the most important things that I feel like could help the song. I really like this section, by the way. I think that the drum sound design choice is really nice. It's got this really kind of like subdued, like lo-fi feeling, and it's really nice. So I think that I'm trying to think about, traditionally in most EDM, if you want to kind of like be in that, if you want the song to kind of like be in that space, I don't know exactly what genre this would be under, but something to think about a little bit is, it kind of feels like the song is gaining momentum and leading you kind of to this section specifically. I will say, obviously, the choice to go into something completely new in terms of chord progression does work, but I almost feel like I wanted to hear like those big kind of saw chords that are used in this fill. Like I kind of wanted to hear I think in terms of the writing, I would have preferred probably for this drop section to play with those chords and focus on having also having most of the impact maybe preserved for this specifically. It's tough because like I'm not saying that this section does work. I almost hear this maybe more as like a I don't know, maybe some kind of post-drop like variation, or maybe some kind of like bridge even or something to like signal like, oh, we're taking you guys somewhere else. But I think like to build up the song with the I don't know. I almost wanted it to. I feel like the energy would make more sense in my eyes. I think to have that chord progression with the big saw chords and like the big kind of drop drums kind of hitting here, just in terms of like song arrangement, that would make more sense to me. And then to go into this section after that. But by the way, I do think you guys make a really good combo. I think I already said that, but I think you guys complement each other. I feel like Eidolon, some of his production choices are benefiting and complementing your writing style. I don't know if that makes sense, but either way, that's one thing I noticed. And then let's see. This switch up is cool. Yeah, the whole thing is like a bit of a journey. So it doesn't feel like anything's being like reused or recycled, and at the same time, it's a very cohesive song. So props. Yeah. We changed the drums. I do think the drums feel a lot better. So good job, y'all. It's a great tune. All right. Thanks for sharing, Noxel. Let's move on to the next person. Oh, yeah, Complextro. Why? I feel like I was saying electro this entire stream, but I actually meant Complextro. Anyways. All right. What you got for us, Seronius? You are next on the list. You know, this is one of the problems with kind of the Feedback Friday streams right now, is that sometimes people join early on and then, you know, they put their name in the raffle and then they can't stay to be picked, and then they obviously end up leaving at some point. So that might be the case here with Seronius. Might have to move on to someone else. All right. Let's see who else we got. Oh, wait. They're here. You got... So I'm not a music producer. That's all good. But I have something for you. All right. Imgur. Is there a way for me to like screen this to make sure I'm not opening something inappropriate? I guess that could be done with audio as well. But I'm just so used to taking Dropbox. It's just food photos. All right. Well, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm just gonna open this. It is food? Okay, all right. I trust y'all. Pause on this site. That looks tasty. That looks really, really tasty. I would order this. Oh my god, my mouth is watering right now. What is this? Is this some kind of... What is this dish? This looks crazy. Just a giant wad of cilantro. I actually love cilantro, so... Whoa. I can't say I've ever seen anything like that before. That looks wild. It's Thai food, yeah. First couple dishes definitely looked Asian. Looks like maybe... Well, it's obviously some kind of protein. Some kind of deep fried protein. But they're tiny little strips, so I wonder... I don't know if that's... What kind of meat that is. It's kind of a cool way to prepare it. I can just picture this. I can like taste it. It's spicy and carby and has lots of tasty protein, and it probably slaps. Okay. Anyways, thanks for sharing. It's an omelet? Wait, that's an omelet? An omelet with cilantro. Huh. I don't think I've seen eggs look like that before. But thanks for sharing. Really good photos. I don't know what town you live in, but maybe on my next tour, I'll swing through. You can come to one of my shows, and I'll pay you to take some photos of me. It does look like a very spicy omelet. I agree. All right, let's move on to the next person. What's up, Housley? You got something for us? I never tried to think about those chords. But, dude, I still can't believe Quincy Jones passed, man. That is so crazy. I always wanted to meet Quincy Jones someday. I thought I would. I thought there was a chance. There was actually a brief moment in time years ago where my management was in touch with Quincy Jones' management company, and there was kind of like the possibility of trying to work together on something, but it didn't pan out. But, you know, obviously Jacob Collier has been under Quincy Jones's management team for a bajillion years. And I mean, that did come to fruition eventually with me being able to perform at Life is Beautiful. That was really cool, but I didn't meet Quincy then or anything. It's just a bummer that he passed. What a legend. '91 is a great life. I agree. What piano patch am I using? This is Keyscapes by Spectrasonics. Oh, and this song is Hidden Angel by Wilgen. Beautiful. What a nice piece. Really atmospheric. It's got a very introspective kind of feeling the whole time. Really makes you kind of pulls you into the present, I think. And that's great. I really enjoyed the whole piece. Let's see. Feedback. Well, the arrangement is great, and the vibe feels very consistent, but you're still creating a lot of variation, which is nice. I think that the sub in this first kind of drum entrance was a bit overkill. I feel like the low end here is just like kind of unnecessarily loud. Because I like it a lot, but it does just feel like it's several dB too loud. Not a huge issue, easily fixed. And I say that more so because the song is so, yeah, like I said, it's very like introspective and like tranquil and atmospheric, and it feels like a loud sub would make more sense in something that felt more aggressive or energetic. So I just feel like it's not necessary for it to be quite that loud. And this switch up here is nice too. Really nice drums here. I think that I would have really loved to hear some kind of drum fill leading into the that downbeat. Hold on, let me try to here's what I was kind of roughly hearing. This is gonna sound terrible. Okay, hold on. It's hard for me to hear where the beats are because we're just hearing some pads, you know. Yeah, something like that, but obviously, not just the fill itself, but kind of executed with some nice sounds. But yeah, that's just a small suggestion. What else do we have? Honestly, that's all I got. I feel like a lot of the simplicity, the minimalness is obviously on purpose, and I think that adds to the song quite a bit. If you wanted to, I don't know why I thought of this, but there's this song by Patrick O'Hearn. I think, what is it called? One sec. It's called So Flows the Current, and it's got the same chord progression. I think it's even the same key. It's kind of a different song, but it's also got this feeling of introspection, and it's got this kind of like emotional weight to it, and it develops very gradually. It doesn't really have percussion the way that you have, but it focuses more on exploring like melodic motifs. And it's got this really beautiful melody. Anyways, the way he built into that melody is really cool, and the reason I bring it up is because you could consider having just a little bit more of a melodic exploration as well. You could have some kind of melody on top of like this section here, or maybe foreshadow it leading into this. I don't know. It's just some food for thought. But either way, it's a really great tune, and I appreciate you sharing. The title of the song is "So Flows the Current" by Patrick O'Hearn. But yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got? Angenom hum. Angenom num. That's pretty close, right? It's crazy. Music blows my mind sometimes because, like, context is everything in music, you know? That's one of the things that I think is so cool about that Patrick O'Hearn piece is because it takes quite a while to get to the point where the melody is playing, and it feels like such a big reward to hear it because it I don't really know how to describe it. The song builds momentum so gradually, and it keeps building and building until it gets to that. But it's really a cool piece of music. All right. Hopefully, I'm not thinking of the wrong song. I'm pretty sure it's that song. Let's check this out. What do we got? Nam. Okay. Cool. Why don't you keep... Why'd you end it there? You could have kept going. It's quite short. I like it, though. I like kind of like the playfulness, the goofiness. You don't quite know exactly what's happening. I think that's one of the things that is cool about what you're doing here. Is like it's a little bit of a misleading intro in that way, right? It's like very kind of playful and quirky, and you're like, okay, kind of hard to tell at first, like what the exact rhythm is, the exact BPM. You're like, what? So I know a lot of the energy comes from the dryness, and I'm not saying for some reason so okay, let me back up a second, because like a lot of the times when I hear pretty much any kind of music, if it feels like something is kind of like distorting too much in a certain area, if it feels unintentional, then I'll point it out. But I think, like, to me, it's obvious that the distortion that's happening is very intentional here, and I think it obviously works. So I don't really want to say anything about that. I think that the sound design and the sound selection is good. The impact is there for the drop. One thing I was thinking, though, is that it'd be cool if you had some kind of like maybe the occasional weird element that had like a reverb tail that was just popped in out of nowhere. It's like, you know, like, okay, I don't know. That was a really weird sound that just came out of my mouth, but I think just some kind of weird synth sound that I mean, you could sample my voice and put it in your song if you want. That could work too. Just use the bah. But okay, anyways, I do think that like that's just a random idea. It's super dry, and I think from a production standpoint, it could be kind of fun to just briefly. It doesn't have to be something that happens right off the bat. But like somewhere in the middle here, like maybe it just pops up like bah, and some weird sound pops in with some lingering reverb. But anyways, other than that, I just wanted to hear more. You know, it ends too soon. Dun, dun, dun. What's the... Hold on, let me get rid of... I'm gonna switch this patch real quick. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I will say the sub is maybe a tad bit overkill. So that could probably come down a tiny bit, but yeah, really my main point is, I wish it was longer. I wish it was like a little bit more developed, like a full song. But yeah, it's cool. Thanks for sharing, and I enjoyed it. It feels long and repetitive if I keep going. I hear you, but I think that just means that maybe you need some variation. You know, like if it's I get what you're saying. Like you just need to find ways to create a little bit more variation. You know, keep the groove going, keep the energy going for a bit longer, and just have fun with it. You know, there's so many possibilities for things you could do after that drop that you have. And it never hurts to look for inspiration, see what other talented artists do, and see if that kind of triggers any thoughts of your own in terms of what to experiment with. You could always, you could try to you could make a section that is a bit more melodic. Like you could bring in some, super saw chords and for like brief little stabs where the melody is playing. I don't know exactly what the chords are, but you get what I'm saying. Like the world is your oyster. Have fun with it. But yeah, I've just felt like 1 minute is definitely on the short side. But anyways, okay, thanks for sharing. Let's keep going. What's up, Neon Music? What you got for us? I don't like this piano patch. It's way too bright. I just did a little piano cover for you. All right. Let's see. We finally got Tinyan. So this is called Take Your Breath.
Excuse me, did I walk into your path? Did I stop your heart from beating?
Oh, cool. Cool. I like the song. The arrangement is good. It's very compelling. Vocals are good. And the production is good. I think that there's a lot of good stuff going on. Some fun switch ups. So I'm trying to think about feedback here because it definitely feels like even though you're kind of, I could see why you throw the house hashtag on here. You're definitely doing your own thing. Compared to, let's say, like some of the more commercial house music that's out there, like let's say something like Fisher or Summit. Like it feels like this is much more. It's more melodic than Fisher. Obviously, that's a very different house music, but it does feel much more emphasis on kind of like the melodic energy, and there are kind of like more you've composed and produced more variation than what you'd expect for the genre, if that makes sense, which I think is cool. For example, this section. I like the like swells where the pitches kind of like they kind of like slide up on that syncopated beat. Those chord pads, it's really cool. See, this is something that I was curious about because I was like, wait, there's like a 6/8 thing going on. How did we get to house? How do we go from 6/8 to house? So let's take another listen at this because I was curious about that. Oh, I see. Okay, so you're just using the bill. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So you go from like the 6/8 to the 4/4, and it works. It's quite seamless because you're doing a hard switch here right at the build, and then the build is immediately switching to the 4/4, but you don't really notice it. So nice. That's great. Let me try to think a little bit about some more like constructive criticism. I feel like I'm just saying stuff that I like so far. So I think actually one of the strengths, it's weird how for a lot of artists this can be a recurring issue. Like for a lot of artists, your strength can kind of simultaneously be a little bit of a weakness. So, what I'm trying to say is one of the things that I really like about your song is kind of working against you a little bit as well, which is you have a lot of variation. And I think there's an argument to be made that maybe there's too much going on in terms of, switching up the rhythm, the writing, and you have all these things that are like technically, yeah, they're in the same key, they're the same BPM, but they could there's almost like multiple songs in one song here. So, I totally get that is intentional. But there is a world where you could benefit from kind of toning down how much variation you're creating and trying to create a little bit more of a common thread beyond just the key of the song and the BPM. Because if your arrangement still, at the end of the day, is focusing on, like, right now, maybe this is the best feedback I could give you on this. Right now, there are so many sections that I think sound pretty cool that there is no one thing that I'm walking away from at the end of the day of listening to this. So it's not automatically the goal of every artist for somebody to walk away and be like, oh, this is the melody I remember, this is the vibe I remember, or something. Like, the song is very consistent, I would say, overall in its vibe and the feeling and the energy. And certainly that's something people might walk away from. But I don't feel like there is, let's say, like one melody or one drop where I'm like, this feels like the most memorable part of the song. It feels more like there are many different sections that all are cool in their own right, but because of that, they're also kind of competing a little bit with each other as well. And so that's something to consider. It's kind of a cool thing in a lot of ways. I like having a bunch of different sections to listen to. I think it gives, like, for repeat listens, it makes it really fun. If you have people that like your style, it's cool because every listen can bring out new things you didn't notice before, much more so than tracks that maybe are a bit like simpler in their arrangement. But just for example, like, let's go to this first drop, right? And that doesn't really repeat, because then when you have a drop again here later, it's a different drop. Actually, maybe I'm getting like a little bit of a Martin Garrix vibe at times listening to this. So maybe that would be a good reference. But, that's, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's probably like my biggest bit of feedback for you. Excuse me. Is just that at the end of the day, if this is, if creating all these different sections that feel fairly different than the others is something that you really enjoy doing. I mean, clearly you enjoy it. If that's a priority for you, is to kind of like do that, then keep doing it. But if a part of you is not sure about that or not totally committed to that, I would consider maybe having I would consider having some sections repeat so that there's more obviously the more times you play something, the more of an impression it can leave on a listener, but we create variation and contrast for fun, but also so it's not like Chinese water drop torture and you're just like hearing this one thing repetitively driving people crazy. So so yeah, anyways, I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. So that's kind of like my bit of feedback for you. lots of cool stuff going on. And yeah, I appreciated the tune. Cool. So Cody McQuaid, what's up? Thank you for the follow. Let's choose the next winner. I guess I should find a middle ground. Well, I'm telling you, man, like this is one of the things that for anyone that's heard me talk on Feedback Fridays, you guys know I mention this all the time. But like especially in this new era of the industry that we're going into where the music industry is already saturated, and now we already have AI artists, and we're gonna have more music than ever being thrown out there, and a lot of it is engineered to be consumed more as like a utilitarian thing, like this. It's engineered to be a product, right? And that commercialization, it can get as somebody that maybe cares a bit more deeply about music, it can get tiring. So like, I don't want to give feedback that will put people in a box more than that needs to happen, right? Like at the end of the day, artists have to balance a lot of different things, and it can be tough to like stay true to the things you care about and still try to like make a living or get some recognition for what you're doing. It really depends on your goals and your where you're willing to compromise, and those are all factors that obviously I can't get into in Feedback Fridays. But at the end of the day, like the authenticity and your relationship with music is really what I would emphasize as the most important, and exploring that first and foremost, and not listening to it's great to listen to people and what they have to say here and there, but yeah. So I'm just throwing it out there because take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, and yeah. I feel like a unique human element in a song can separate it from AI music. Just my 2 cents, but that was fire. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Let's listen to another track. We'll see what else we got here. What's up, Zen Sports? What you got for us? Might have to move on if Zen has left the chat. Okay, let's move on. What's up, Red Panda? How's it going? I saw you in the chat. I'm glad that you're here. Had that link ready to go. Locked and loaded. I like it. Let's see what we got. Follow up. Ooh. I already like this. The Mooshard, thank you for the follow. Very cool. I love this idea. It's kind of combining a lot of a few different things that I like quite a bit. Like that vocal chop is kind of gluing it all together, which I like a lot. I'm a fan of those kind of like that style of vocal chop. You know, you hear it in like Peekaboo, you hear it in Skrillex, you hear it in who was I just thinking of? Skybreak has been making a lot of tunes that have that kind of like a vocal chop. It's like a little bit syncopated, but it keeps like looping over and over again, and it kind of has this grounding effect. It's almost like a rhythmic. Well, yeah, of course it's a rhythmic thing, but it's almost like this additional kind of percussive layer, like in a weird way. It's a vocal, but like it just keeps this the groove going. But anyways, lots of cool stuff going on. I like that second drop, man. That comes out of nowhere. That's a fun one. So let's see. I think my general consensus on what is lacking the most, it feels a little rough from a mixing standpoint. I just think some tender love and care, just a little bit of TLC would go a long way with this tune. So okay, I will say the first drop, I think I like it. I'm a little on the fence about the rhythm of that main bass patch because there are several rhythms happening here at the same time that are kind of like it feels like there's slightly too much going on. And I feel like maybe just a more sustained bass sound would help carry that drop more. And right now, I think the rhythm of the bass. Hold on, what is the rhythm? Is it? And you know, I think part of why it feels like it's not quite working for me is because also that envelope is potentially a little bit too, the envelope on, I think it's maybe like the pitch or some kind of modulation that's giving it that articulation. I feel like it's spending a lot of time moving around because it keeps being re-triggered. So it's like, you know, and I'm exaggerating a little bit for just to make it clear what I'm talking about. So I feel like either that envelope gets shortened a lot, so it's much more like da 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 instead of you know, that could be really helpful. But you could also potentially try just doing something more sustained. I felt like the sustained approach worked really well in the second drop here. It does make it really satisfying to hear it like that because it wasn't like that in the first drop. But it's also a different patch, and it's got a lot of energy. I like that. What else do I potentially have some insight on? I think this little fill here needs a little bit more attention. So, for some reason, the first reference that came to mind for these kind of like rave stab things, like I was thinking about G Jones, you know, and he uses some rave stabs here and there, and I feel like he pulls it off quite well. I feel like I'm trying to picture how to improve this because it's not quite getting the job done. This particular fill here in my mind. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. There's I would just try to experiment with that a little bit more. I think the stabs when they do hit, maybe omit excuse me. Maybe omit some of the other sounds to make it a little bit more impactful when that bass patch does pop in. I could picture a few different things. For example, I could hear like that rave stab happening, and then the vocal chop starts, and then on the next downbeat, the bass and the drums pop in. So it'd be like dun dun dun. I need that. Boom, I need that. I need that. Boom, I need that. I need that. Boom, I need that. I need that. Dun dun dun. I need that. Boom, I need that. I need that. You know what I'm saying? So like that first measure is basically like drum and bassless. Like that could actually be pretty cool. I can definitely hear that working a little bit better than this current arrangement. But dude, it's a fire tune. I like this a lot. That's one other thing I was gonna say is like you should consider having an 808 continuing here in this little B section. This part is fire too. I think like just a slightly less saturated sub sound would go hard here. Something like just some kind of low end needs to be there. I think it's making too much. It's giving up too much momentum, and the sub obviously helps carry a lot of the weight and the energy forward. So yeah. This feels a lot heavier than what I normally hear from you. I feel like, but it's really cool. It's nice to hear you switching it up, and I like I said, I'm a sucker for that kind of like that vocal chop style. Actually, now that I think about it, I mean, Fred Again is also obviously an artist that does this a lot. Hamdi, like that whole scene, I feel like they do a lot of kind of vocal chops like that. But anyways, let's do maybe like one more track, then I'm gonna call it for today. Thanks for sharing that tune, Red Panda. Oh, you've been listening to Skybreak. Nice. Okay, I could see the a little bit of that influence, but yeah, I wonder. Check your email, Martin. Yeah, dude, did I miss something from you? It's possible, to be honest. It's very possible, but I'll check my email. If you don't mind resending it, I'd appreciate that. All right, y'all. We have time for one more here. I apologize. I didn't get through everyone today. We're gonna create this is like the piano version of a drum roll right here. Who's gonna be? Oh, wait, that's crazy. Is Mattism still here? Didn't he say I thought he mentioned he had to go. That's actually kind of hilarious that's the final. Wait, what were your chances of actually getting picked there? I'm curious. Okay, final song for the day here. Let's check it out. Okay, 1 in 11. It's actually not a terrible. That's actually pretty low, but. I see the vision. By the way, if you weren't randomly selected in the raffle today, it doesn't mean you were doing anything wrong. I just saw your message, Bradshaw, and it's completely random. So I apologize, but... Cool idea. Cool. And by the way, I'm just gonna make a quick comment here. Yeah, the raffle system is not perfect for Feedback Fridays, so I understand it's frustrating. Like if you submitted your track and you're waiting for like an hour, there's just no perfect system in reality. So like obviously doing it randomly, the idea is to avoid people that are subscribing to somehow be more likely to get chosen, because I would much rather everyone has the same chance. And no matter what I do, there's only so many songs I can get through. Some days there aren't that many people that submit music, and then it's really easy for me to get through everyone. And some days there's more people. Like today, there happened to be a bit more that I couldn't get through. So I apologize, but I really love giving feedback. I really enjoy it. So it's something that I genuinely look forward to, and I don't want to do like a half-assed job and just say like, oh yeah, I liked it, and then pop on to the next one. I want to actually like try to dive into it a little bit and hopefully share something that that people hadn't considered or might actually be helpful on some level. So I think maybe if I did it faster, I could get through more people, but that's just not the way that I want to do the Feedback Fridays. So either way, I just want to acknowledge it's not a perfect system, and I know it sucks to like sit there for a long time and not get chosen. So I apologize, but that being said, if there's something that you really want me to hear outside of Feedback Fridays, I do my best to keep up with my personal email, so you can send me tunes you're working on. It's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee that like I'll be able to give you feedback, but if you want to, I can try my best. My email is martin@haywyremusic.com, so feel free to send me something that way. But yeah, I mean, there's just not there's no perfect system, unfortunately. Okay, let's get back to your track. Last tune for the day. So I like this more than even more than some of your other submissions recently. I feel like there's a little bit more energy in this one, and I can kind of feel some of the frustration that I think that you're feeling. You titled it "Pain," and I see. I'm not sure if this is this description here is like a story you're exploring, or if this is just like a personal anecdote. But either way, I can hear the energy here. I think from a production standpoint, there are some things that could be improved. So, and maybe from a composition standpoint too. But arrangement overall, I think is quite nice. The arrangement is good. And I think that the biggest issues I have are maybe some touch ups in terms of the chord progression, and then also from a production standpoint, there are some things that I wanted to point out. But the chord progression. Hold on, that second chord. So to me, it sounds like you have a dominant chord there. So you're doing E flat minor 9, and then you're doing D flat dominant. To me, I feel that dominant chords have a very particular feeling to them that rarely has a great place in electronic music. Sometimes it has like. Let's say, for example, if you guys are familiar with Apache, a lot of his music has like borrows elements from classical music, and classical music has dominant chords everywhere. But I feel that they have a very particular kind of emotional tone to them that just doesn't work that great with a lot of electronic music. It depends. There are times where it works, but I would encourage you to consider a different chord there, I think. Or just omitting that note and keeping it more vague so that it's not clear if it is a dominant or not. And then that fourth chord I'm also not too crazy about. Hold on. I think just the chord progression and the melodic work just needs a little bit of a touch up. So I mean, you could throw a dominant up there, but I don't think so. So I'm just riffing on it briefly. I feel like you could maybe go like E minor 9, and then D flat major. Yo, thank you for the follow, Leaky 510. Yo, how do I submit? What's up, Leaky? So actually, I'm about to wrap up here. So I'm kind of done for the day. I'm just giving some final feedback to Mattism here. But if you want to join next week, I'll be live on Friday again. And all you have to do to join is !join. That's all you type in the chat. But for today, I'm going to be calling it after this one. So I appreciate you swinging by. But I'll be live again for feedback Fridays, next Friday. But yeah, so I was gonna say with the chord progression, E minor 9, D flat major, maybe don't reveal whether it's dominant or not with that 7th. Maybe A flat minor, or you could also do the B major. They're very closely related, obviously. I'm not a huge fan of that note choice for this chord, the B flat, the final chord in the progression. I think like that's kind of why I was hearing the dominant, is because like because of that yeah, anyways, so that's a little bit tricky. So maybe you just choose a different note instead of that B. Or you change it to a G flat major maybe instead of the B flat. But anyways, okay, I'm getting a little distracted. So I would encourage you to keep working on that. I think for the drop, there are some frequency ranges that are a bit harsh. So I like the energy. It's cool. It's very like to have something like so pad focused for a drop. I like the idea a lot actually. But there's some stuff going on in the mids, maybe like the upper mids and the highs that feels like if you have a multi-band compressor or something more advanced like maybe even Soothe, it's not necessary. You don't have to use something like Soothe, but it's just kind of like a little bit more of a quicker fix. But so I would, if I were to use something in my VST arsenal, I would probably use Pro MB, and I would try to find create a band, and then try to like look for the frequency range that feels the most harsh, and then just specifically compress that a good chunk. Make sure that it feels a little more leveled out with the rest of the mix. So that's something to work on. And then the same thing is true for the second drop as well. So I think that's the other thing I was going to mention is just like there are some areas where some sounds become they just need a little bit of taming. A little bit of multi-band compression should do the trick. But anyways, that's it for me for today, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. The Moo shirt, beautiful, man, truly, and thank you. Martin, can you please remind chat we've got a dope community, a Minecraft server. I am doing this right now by reading your message, I guess. And they can see the Discord for details and ask Art Nerd or server admins if they have questions. So there is a unofficial Haywyre Minecraft server, and I think you guys launched it today. Was that today? Or either way, it's live, and I will join it at sometime soon. Pretty excited. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, y'all. I really appreciate it. I'll leave you with a final little piano improv of some kind, just because I can. Oh, why is it distorting like that? I don't know where that distortion is coming from. Cool. That's it for me today. Thank you guys so much. You had so many great submissions. There's some bangers on the stream. But you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. And if you want to tune in on Sunday, I'll be around to work on some random new stuff. So, peace out. Take care.